my name is Margaret Adele, and welcome to another indie book review. And this is one of my favorite kinds of books to review because it's already a nice, light, maybe a little bit schlocky read, but it also makes content, so it's awesome. Today I am reviewing Dragon Fated by Kara Lockharte and Cassie Alexander, and in case you couldn't tell from both the title and the cover, this is a schlocky dragon shifter romance, and I love it. This is the third in the Prince of the Other Realms series, all about a woman, a young nurse, who kind of, is falling in love with this millionaire dragon shifter who's also like a prince from another dimension. It's great and how dramatic it is. I love it. I also love that it is an Own Voices Asian protagonist, and also like an Own Voices nurse protagonist. One of the authors is Asian, the other author is a nurse, and so together, Own Voices protagonist. And I love it so much. But because this is the third in the series, I will be talking some spoilery things about the first two. So if you're interested in those, I will have the links to those reviews down in the description below. So let's jump right in. The synopsis for this one is very vague. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that this is a very fast-paced series book to book. I think throughout the first 3 books, only about 2 weeks of time has actually passed. And in this book, the entire book takes place only after a couple days, and it starts literally the morning after where the previous book ended. So it's very fast-paced, and I don't know how much more concrete of a synopsis I can give without spoiling some things, but regardless, this focuses a lot more on both of their pasts and develops the relationship a little bit more in that they have some real issues they need to work through. And I appreciated that they were actual genuine relationship issues, not just the only issue we have could be solved by a conversation. And yes, I know that those are valid relationship issues, but for me, there's something a lot more meaningful in the we're not going to magically solve this problem with a single conversation. This is something we actually have to work through. And mostly it talks about Damien's backstory and the horrible things that are kind of only hinted at. You get a little bit more actual evidence of the things he suffered as a kid in the other realms. You have Andy talking more about her backstory and discovering more about her mother specifically that you didn't know before. Some giant reveals that I really liked. She continues to be the sassy nurse that I love. Damien and his dragon continue to be so different than a lot of other shifters, because in a lot of cases, shifters and shifter romances tend to be, well, the animal in them is technically another being, but also not really, and it's accepted to be another being, but it doesn't really delve more into that. And in this case, it's a curse, and it's a dragon as its own other entity, and it's trapped inside Damien, and it doesn't want to be. It hates this, but it also loves Andy. And it's this weird kind of juxtaposition where Damien and his dragon are constantly at odds, except when it comes to her, and for whatever reason, she's the one that they can both agree on, and what does that mean? And I loved that, that depth to it, and of course, what does it mean, the curse that Damien could eventually end up just losing himself to his dragon entirely, and would Andy be safe with the dragon entirely? Because yeah, the dragon is a fan of her, but also it's still a dragon, which I also liked. It doesn't think like a human, it thinks very differently. So I was really a big fan of that. All in all, it's actually a really, really good book. The sex scenes are, as usual, continue to be lovely and not quite as inventive as that one self-love scene in the car with Damien in an earlier book, because that I'd never read anything like that before. They get a little bit kinkier, but right out the gate, there's a sex scene within the first 30 pages, which is how you know it's a good romance book. And actually, not the first indie smut that I've read that has a sex scene that soon in it. But I appreciated the relationship and its dynamics, and this would have been another 5-star. Very close. It was very close. In all honesty, I could probably give it a 4.5. But since most review sites just go in block numbers, I had to give it 4 stars because it has one of my least favorite romance tropes, and that is the keeping a secret for super flimsy reasons for the sake of drama. And it's hard because at one point the reveal of the secret at the end, like the cliffhanger it ended on at the end of the book, was like really good, but also I'm just rolling my eyes as the character was like talking themselves through why they should keep this a secret. You could like almost see the authors trying to like make it work, like we have to convince the reader that it's okay that they're keeping the secret, because the real reason they're keeping the secret is it makes for a better plot. Like the real reason they're keeping the secret is it's more drama. But so it's more like the character's reasoning is just, you know, a thin veneer over the real reason. And that's never been my favorite trope. And I know there's this whole discussion about how, like, you know, in real life, people don't always talk about their feelings. And so having a character not revealing their inner secrets and having that become a problem is actually genuine. The problem is that that's not the kind of secrets they're keeping. In fact, in this case, there's a lot of discussion about some of the horrors of their background, and Damien especially, without giving too much away, the book gives him a tragic backstory that men in books often aren't given. And that's the most I'm going to tell you with that. But I really appreciated that it was representation that is something tragic that happens to boys and men, but is not usually discussed a lot. So I would highly suggest it for that reason. But I'm watching the character like thinking through this, and I'm rolling my eyes going, okay, yes, we know this is going to be more dramatic. And so I had to knock it down for that. But you know what? I've gotten through 2 books that were both 5 stars. And obviously if I rate a book 4-star, I'm still going to be continuing with the series. I believe at this point it is 6 books, if I remember correctly. I originally thought it was a trilogy, and I'm not sure why, but I'm really excited because the group dynamic of the cast as a whole is really coming together. You see a lot more of Damien's like found family, essentially, and you learn more about his family dynamics from back home. My personal favorite is Mills, the witch with the insanely long hair that can't tell a lie. I love her. I love Grimilkin, the magic cat that is like both an adorable kitty that loves cheese and also an interdimensional being that can rearrange the house at will. Like, I love that kind of thing. Grimilkin is my favorite because it's like he can turn into a saber-toothed tiger, but is very affronted when he sees someone else eating his cheese. It's so funny, and I love it so much. He's such a snob when it comes to cheese too. Just that little bit of silliness mixed in. It's still schlocky. It's still fairly melodramatic. It's still everything I love in this kind of series. It's just that one trope that just kind of hits me. And the one good thing is I don't think we'll ever see love triangle come out of this, which is like my ultimate least favorite romance trope. I think it's safe from that, so I'm not too worried about that. But I would still highly recommend this one a lot. I am a very big fan, and of course I hope to be continuing with the series. I really want to know more about Andy's background and why her family seems to have so many intriguing secrets, but she seems so normal, and what does that mean? And I have some ideas, and I want to see whether or not they actually come to fruition. But I just really want to keep reading more schlocky shifter romances for review because it's so much fun. Now, if you are an indie author and you would like a review like this one, please send me an email. I will have my email down in the description below. I will give a little bit of a addendum here that I am soft closed, meaning I am looking for very, very, very specific, diverse things in the books I accept for review. So it is much more likely that I will say no for right now, but a no for right now is not a no forever. I will also have my review policy down there. Please get that a read through. It answers a lot of questions and saves us a lot of time. And with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.